Hi, friends. Okay, so here's the deal. You should have all gotten a MELCon sheet, so if you didn't get that, let's get that out now and make sure everybody's got one and something to write with. Don't take notes on it yet. While you're doing that, I'm going to tell a joke. Why did the monkey fall out of the tree? Because he was dead. Oh, sorry. Okay, so, all right, I'm guessing that you all have your MELCon sheets by this time. So we just got through chapter 21, and I just left. So be good, work hard. You're going to write a MELCon before you leave. So you're just going to write it on this sheet. And what I want you to do is I want you to tell me in your main idea, you need to mention To Kill a Mockingbird. That's number one. You need to mention your theme, and you need to mention that it was made obvious throughout several examples in the text, okay? So let's just say that I was writing about what? You should never judge a book by its cover. Let's just say that was my theme, okay? So my main idea would be something like this. The theme, never judge a book by its cover, is made obvious several times in the book To Kill a Mockingbird, okay? Now remember, when you're writing book titles, you underline them. If you were typing them, what would you do? You would not underline them. Yeah, you would put them in italics. Okay, so you're writing this one now, so make sure you underline the title. So that's going to be your main idea. Now, once your main idea is done, you're going to move on to your first E. Notice if you take a look at your MELCon sheet, there's 3 E's, there's 3 L's. Example or evidence, and then link. So for this one, you are going to have 3 examples and 3 links. Now, your links can go a little bit longer because your links are going to have details that link the example that you gave to your main idea. Okay? So let me just switch gears for a minute. Let's say that I was writing a MELCon about my children being a little feisty. All right? So my main idea might be something like, all of my children are feisty young adults. Okay. Now remember, when you write it, you're writing objectively. No, you, your, me, my, I, us, we. None of that, not acceptable, all right? In the kind that you're writing right now. You're writing a formal MELCon, okay? But if I'm writing that, and I'm going to prove that my kids are feisty, I'm going to start with example number 1. So in my case, I would decide how do I want to organize these, all right? So think about which example do you want to go first. In my case, I would go with Nehemiah. I would go in chronological order. So I would go with Nehemiah, then Danny, then Carter Jean, okay? So you guys, when you pull the 3 examples from the book, you are going to talk about 3 specific things that happen in the book that demonstrate whatever theme it is that you are going to talk about, all right? So you're going to state that theme. And remember, a theme is a life lesson. It's not a single idea. Like racism, that's not a theme. A theme is a life lesson that the author wants you to get out of it by the time you're done reading the book, okay? So state your theme, and don't say, I think, I believe, no I's. State it. The theme, whatever your theme is made known through several examples in the book To Kill a Mockingbird. I want to see the title To Kill a Mockingbird in your main idea, okay? So then you're going to move on to your first example. As I said, if I'm talking about my kids being feisty, I'm going to start with Nehemiah. But before I have my first example, does anybody remember? What do I need there? Small little thing that I need before I start my first example. I need a transition, right? And I don't want to see first, second, third, lastly. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see first, second, last, in conclusion. All right? I believe that I sent you guys those transition sheets. So take a look, and I will take a look when I get done recording this and make sure that I sent it to you. Okay, so I might say instead of first, which many of you, when you did your 5-paragraph essay, you did first, second, third, or first, second, last, all 3 MELCon paragraphs. Now, first of all, that's bad enough if you do it just in one, because you're just using the basic ones, and you need to jack it up a little bit, okay? So if I'm talking about my feisty kids, then I might want to say, if I'm starting with Nehemiah, to begin with, there's my transition, okay? To begin with, comma, and then I'm going to jump into whatever it is I'm going to say about Nehemiah being feisty. So, in my case, I'm going to give a specific example that demonstrates that Nehemiah is feisty. So, I might say something like, he posts dark humor jokes on his Facebook page. All right, so there's a specific example of something he does. So now, with my link, I don't need another transition with my link, all right? But my link has to demonstrate how his dark humor demonstrates his feistiness, okay? So I might say, I don't want to use feisty again, right? You don't want to repeat. So what would be another word for feisty? I see. I'm thinking sparkly. No, that's not going to work. I'm thinking obnoxious. No, not exactly. Energetic. No. Enthusiastic. What's another word for feisty? I'm having a hard time. I might need to look that up. And you guys are going to have access to your Chromebooks. I don't want you to write this in your Chromebooks. I want it on that MELCon sheet. You're going to hand it in. And I know I've been talking for a little while here, but I'll be done in just a few minutes, and then you can get started. All right, so you can look that up online. So right now, if I'm writing it in pencil, I can just put that in parentheses. If I'm writing it in pen, I can just leave a little spot, go back, check my thesaurus later for another word for feisty. So his feisty, parentheses, attitude is evident, or his feisty impact on others is evident when comments from others are read that that voice their sarcastic opinions of his lack of humor, something like that. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to Danny and tell you how Danny is feisty. So I might say, also, Danny can be a, parentheses, feisty child too. All right, then I have to demonstrate how Danny is feisty. All right, and like I said, the Facebook post. So I want to add a little bit more. Danny is feisty too, comma, which is obvious to the many friends that he plays wiffle ball with on our side yard. All right, so now I need a link to demonstrate that. So what would his friends say if I talk to them? So I would say, many a time have I heard his friends telling him to settle down or knock it off while Danny chuckles to himself, running his way across the bases. All right. Okay, and then I need another transition because I'm going to move into Carter Jean, my daughter. So I might say something like, finally, or my last example is Carter Jean's, parentheses, feistiness, which comes through on the emails I receive from her teachers. Okay, so then my link has to talk about the emails from the teachers and tie it to make the reader see that she's feisty. All right. Now, I can't assume that you guys know about Carter, right? So don't assume that I know about the book. I made that comment to some of you on your first essays. So don't assume that I know the book. Tell me what happened in the book. Don't say the part with Tom Robinson. What part with Tom Robinson? That's what I want you to tell me. Don't say the comments that were made by the jurors. What did the jurors say? Don't say the thing that happened with Miss Dubose. What thing happened with her? All right. So even if it's obvious, even if you'd be like, oh, Mrs. Peterson will know what I'm talking about. No, don't assume that. I want you to specifically say what it was. Okay. So you've got your main idea, transition, example 1, link 1. Transition, example 2, link 2. Transition, example 3, link 3. And then we've got our conclusion. Job of the conclusion is to recap, restate, reword. Do not repeat your main idea, okay? So I need another transition. Something like, in conclusion, blah, 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 okay? In conclusion, my children, although seen as sarcastic, still generate positive energy. Okay, so I've completely reworded the same idea because feisty usually has a positive connotation and a negative connotation, which I've explicitly mentioned in the concluding sentence. Okay, so you're going to reword your main idea. Okay, so you start with your main idea, transition, specific example, and then more details about that example and tie it to your main idea. Then move on to the next one, transition, example 2, link 2, details. Transition, example 3, link